Hello, folks. How's it going? Cornell, no such thing podcast, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so tonight we had Chris Reinhardt on the show. Chris Reinhardt is a Bigfoot researcher from Connecticut, and he and I had a great conversation. We tried to do a Zoom kind of a video, but it didn't really work out. So we tried to do, well, we did do a Skype meeting, recorded it, and it didn't come out perfect. I couldn't figure. That's why I don't use Skype because I can't figure out how to do the screen thing and make us both on the screen. I'm a boomer sometimes. I'm pretty good with technology, but I don't know. I have a hard time with Skype. Zoom is a lot more user friendly, so that's why I want to use that in the future. But once I'm able to use the YouTube Live, I'll use that instead. But anyway, this is what we've got. And we spoke about doing it again, but redoing it. But I don't like to do that. I just want to do it in one shot. It's like one take, like the movies. Just let it run. And the first conversation is always the best. You know, it's fresh and it's more sincere with all of its imperfections. I prefer that rather than getting it nice and organized and you know sharp and crystal clear and all that stuff. That's nice, but I'm just going to run with what I've got. It was a great conversation with all of its inconsistencies and imperfections. I don't mind that, and I hope you guys don't mind that either. Chris is great to talk to, and he's very close to me, which is geographically, not not intimately. We don't even know each other, but yeah. So I want to go down there, and he's like 2 hours away from me, and he's got these great areas that he researches, and he's very passionate about the subject. And I'm a newcomer, relatively speaking. I'm 2 years into this subject, and to meet someone like Chris, who's done so much research on this and who's so far along on the research tree, whatever you call it. It's a pleasure to meet him and pleasure to talk to him. He knows a lot. He's done a lot of stuff, and he's, like I say, he's very passionate and he's very dedicated to this subject. And it was very interesting talking to him. And like all of my guests, be it encounterees or researchers, I listen to what they have to say and I learn a lot from them. Every single guest, I take something away from it. So, but tonight was very special because he had kind of a similar encounter as I did in the Kamichi Mountains. He had it in Missouri, and he had a similar reaction. So I could identify with him, how he felt when there was a Bigfoot outside of his tent. He didn't have the flap on. Oh, poor guy. I did. That saved me from having a heart attack, but he didn't have the fly sheet, I think it's called. He didn't have that on, and then the thing huffed into his face. I can't imagine the terror, the horror, as Marlon Brando would say in what's that movie? Oh my god, I can't remember the name. My favorite movie, Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now. That's it. The horror. Yeah. So I'm just going to run with this. It's not perfect, but it's as it is. Our first conversation, Chris Reinhardt and I, and I think that's a way to go. Your first conversation together, warts and all, is the best way to do it. I'm not going to redo it. We will do another podcast, obviously, when I meet up with him and stuff, and we collaborate and do different stuff. But this is it. I'm going to let it roll and just release the podcast. And Chris is only like this size in the bottom of the screen, like down here. I'm sorry, but that's. And then there's a little tiny video of me here too. And then the rest of it's like this, just like I'm talking right now. I don't know how to, do that and like fix that and stuff. I do on Zoom, but on Skype I don't. And that's why I don't use Skype, because it always every time I use Skype I get problems. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking. So enjoy the interview with Chris. He's a good guy and he's a serious researcher and he's got a lot of knowledge. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And I'll talk to you all soon. It's great that you're here. We just figured all of this out after about 30 minutes of how to. Sometimes technology can be weird, and I usually use Zoom, but we're using Skype tonight because Zoom wouldn't work. And that looks like is that Han Solo behind you in carbonite?
Yes. Would you like to buy him? He's for sale. I got him from Jabba.
I've seen those, like you can get a refrigerator with Han Solo and carbonite. How much is that kind of thing worth?
Yeah, that was only I think it was $25 on Amazon. It's cardboard.
Oh, it's cardboard. Is that the real deal?
You put a little light under them like they had them in the movies, and it looks pretty real from far back.
Really?
Yeah.
This looks like where you are right now. It's like the Bat Cave. It's like the ultimate man cave.
Yeah, this is it. This is Sasquatch Central at my house. I get the bottom of the basement in the back right-hand corner.
You must be married then.
I got 2 grandkids that live with me and family of 4, and COVID just, we had to all live together and until we get through all this. So I got my little space down here, and I'm more than happy with it.
It looks awesome. What is that screen behind you? For anybody watching, can see like jellyfish. Is that just a big virtual fish tank?
Yeah, it's it's out of my TV. I got my Bigfoot back there, and then I play the jellyfish and back, and just for a little something different to look at other than my pretty face.
You're not messing around. You're pretty serious. You're I mean, with like. I've heard you talking about, well, first of all, let's go back. I first discovered you on Bigfoot Odyssey, and the extent of your research really impressed me, and the fact that you're so close to me, I'm like, wow, he's in northwestern Connecticut. That's like a hop, skip, and a jump from me. I could be down there in 2 hours, and,
Oh, yeah, you're more than welcome to come down.
Meet up with you research. Yeah, so what can you name the area in Connecticut that you're in? Because people have a lot of misconceptions about Connecticut because it's so close to New York. They don't think, but I have like relatives in Connecticut. Well, my wife has relatives, and we've driven down there, and it's like forest for a long, long time. It's like very wooded.
Right, that's where we're located. Most people don't know that Connecticut is 60% forested. So
right.
We're up in the we're up in the northwest corner, which is called Winchester, Connecticut, and it was a small town when I've been here for 50 years. So it was a small town when I was growing up, but it's gotten a little bit, a little bit bigger over the time. But there's been reports of Sasquatch starting back in 1895 here, called the Winchester Wildman. It actually made all the papers in the area, and so that far ago, far back, there's always been Sasquatch stories here. And in the 70s, they had a lot of sightings. But the forest here is thick. I mean, it's thick. It's just protected land. It's all MDC and state owned, and um, reservoirs all over the place, and hiking trails, and it's a really beautiful area. And we have Sasquatch here, and not too many people would believe that in Northwest Connecticut that they're actually here, but they are, in my opinion.
Well, there have been a lot of accounts. I've heard some accounts on Sasquatch Chronicles. Now, if I drive out Route 90 in Massachusetts and I go south and 84, is it goes
Yep.
past the Mohegan Sun and stuff? Is that going through the middle of the state?
No, you're going down towards the south. That's southern Connecticut. You're going to want to go the turnpike and come through Sandusfield area, that area, and we border right Massachusetts. I'm half hour away from the border of Massachusetts.
Okay, so I'm just like I'm going west a little bit, then cutting down towards the south, and there's
Yeah,
lots.
exactly.
Even what I see going down that way is it's very wooded. I was impressed. I'm like, wow, Connecticut isn't all because a lot of the cities are on the coast, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah, down south. Yep. All the large cities like New London and Bridgeport.
Right.
But Hartford's more of a. It's not a very very big city. Um, More insurance based offices and all that, but nothing like New York City or any of the major cities. Connecticut's pretty small compared to everything else.
Well, Connecticut is the same size as Northern Ireland, which is where I'm from, and it's got 6 million people. Actually, no, sorry, what am I talking about? Maybe 2 million people in it now, but it's pretty small. So that's what's up, because I looked it up. It's the same square miles as Northern Ireland. Ireland is the same size as Maine. Ireland as a whole. Now, what got you into the whole Bigfoot thing anyway?
Well, I just wanted to say my great grandparents were from Dublin.
Oh,
I'm
really?
half Irish. Yep, my grandmother was red-haired, green-eyed. Coffee was her last name.
Coffee's a big name there.
Yep. So yeah, they're from Dublin. So I just wanted to add that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Your other half is German, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah. You hit that, and Italian.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
you got German, Irish, Italian. That's a
Yep.
good mix.
So
So,
what
what's
got me into
what
the
started?
Sasquatch? Um, we got rid of cable. We were paying like $270 a month for cable. So we decided to try the Fire Stick streaming and all that, and then I was introduced to YouTube. And I was always into Bigfoot. I would always watch every show possible on TV all the time, 5 or 6 times. And um, I put in the search bar Bigfoot, and then holy cow, everything just came up, page after page after page, video after video after video. I was like, holy cow. So I started watching it, and the more I watched it, I started seeing what these guys are doing. And I didn't even know it was a thing that people were actually out in the woods. You see the specials on TV, you see the same guys, you see like Dr. Meldrum, them, they're on every special. But I
Yeah.
didn't know there was other people in the woods looking for them. I didn't know that was a thing. So I've always been interested, and I've always had weird things happen my whole life. I've always been ghosts and all that stuff has happened around me as I grew up. But so so I said, I'm going to give it a shot and see if I can find a structure. That's where I started. I guess that's where most people start when they don't have an encounter. At first, they start looking at structures. So that's what I started doing. And 5 years later, you see the man cave. I started with like you, a GoPro and a notebook, and now I have a whole office 5 years later full of all Sasquatch information and books and all that, and I love it. So yeah, YouTube got me into it. It's hard to say, but that's what happened.
Well, YouTube is the best television channel ever created. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm pretty addicted to YouTube. My they have a warning on there. You get you that it tells you when you watch too much, it pops up on your YouTube. But
Really?
yeah, I follow everybody. I watch everybody. I learn from everybody. Everybody, has their own. They're doing their own thing, and you can learn from a lot of people what's going on out there. So I try to take as much in as I can. I have certain people that I really like to watch and follow, and I get to talk to them, which is very cool. I thought that was the coolest thing too. You could talk to these people. You
Yeah.
see them on, yeah, you see them on TV. They're doing their thing. You contact them, send them an email, and you start talking and sharing ideas, and it's just an awesome thing.
Yeah, they're accessible. Like people like we both have talked to. You email them and they get back to you, and all of a sudden they're on your channel, and you can talk to them and learn from them and stuff. That's one of the most fascinating things about this for me, anyway.
Right, it's awesome. You have to work together in this. Um, you got to work together to get any answers. That's the way I look at it now.
Yeah, and you have to there's a lot of bad actors out there too, and you've got
Hmm.
to like cut those guys loose. And sometimes sometimes people come on my channel and say nasty things about some of the people that I have on there. I actually just had a nasty comment tonight about one of my guests. I'm not going to mention who the guest was or who the person was, but I just deleted it because this guest is I believe them. I think they're credible, and I think this person just has an extra grind. So there's a lot of that kind of thing out there too, that you've got to, and the only way to navigate these waters is to just be respectful and gravitate towards the people that you deem credible, and stick with that that crowd, and that's who you learn from. But there's a lot of bullshitters out there too. You've
Oh
got to
yeah,
stay well away from them.
oh yeah. You see them all the time. I see them, and I just don't pay attention anymore. I just
Mm.
scroll by. Before it used to bother me. I used to get upset, and I'd be thinking about being like one of the trolls. The people out there like you just had tonight. They're just bitter. They just there's something wrong. They got, why? Who cares? Move on. Go past that. You had a guest on. They don't agree with it. Well, why do you have to complain about it? Why do you have to gripe about it? Just move on. And everybody has their own opinion about Bigfoot because there is no definite answers. There's no answers. Only more and
No,
more and more questions.
none
I
of
mean,
us
we know
know
they leave.
anything.
We know they leave footprints. We know they throw rocks. We know certain things, but um, we don't really know. So
No, so let's talk about your research, because you're a boots on the ground kind of a guy. I've only started in this. I've got like you said, a GoPro and a friggin' a recorder, and I'm scared to death of these things. It kind of inhibits me sometimes, because I had an experience recently in Oklahoma where this thing was outside my tent, and instead of grabbing a phone and getting evidence, I froze and didn't do anything. Um, and I know you've had some kind of hairy experiences too. Do you want to talk about your research a bit?
sure. I had an experience just like you did, but mine was in Missouri. It was the first time I ever had like solid interaction. Before that, I had the wood knocks, and we caught. I had a rock throw one time. I'll tell you the story in a little bit. But I had a similar situation in Missouri where we got there the first night and found a trackway, and we casted the tracks, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Then we went back to the camping area, and then we went back out with the FLIR camera. And then when the guy that was there actually found one popping its head up and down out of the creek. So now I'm thinking now it's dark, and before I was a believer, but I didn't. You believe until and then once you start experiencing things, just like you, I started getting the willies, and wow, these things are really real. They're right there. It's right there. So we're back in the tent that night, and I'm sleeping, and then I wake up for some reason, and I hear steps, and one step
Oh,
after the other, and it creeped for a good 15 minutes, one step at a time. I mean, it wasn't thunder steps like Godzilla, but it was just like one, creeping steps. You hear it on the foliage of the leaves on the ground, and then it would stop, and then you'd hear another one, and it got closer and closer until it was right up next to the tent. Right up next to the tent. I knew if I looked up, because we had the rain gear off, if I looked up, I would have seen what was outside the tent, and I couldn't do it.
oh,
I couldn't do it. So it came down to me and huffed right on the side of my face.
oh
Oh,
my God.
the hair on my I tell the same story. I do the same thing, but the hair is sticking straight up on my arm right now.
Wow.
I shook for about 20 minutes. Shook. And it was after that, it was a life changing situation. The next night we saw one. We were on a ridge at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we seen one in back of us, and it was pacing back and forth between these two trees for 10 minutes. We watched this thing, this creature or whatever was there, and it was pitch dark out. My buddy got up, whatever, and got up and grabbed something out of his backpack, and from 60 yards away, that creature seen him and hid behind a tree and started doing the head bob and outside the tree. Pitch black, 60 yards away, seen him get up and grab something out of his backpack. So these things see incredibly at night. Incredibly. I could vouch for that because I seen it. And that's how
So,
I was
so,
introduced to the Sasquatch those
so,
first 2 nights.
so this thing outside your tent, you had the exact same kind of thing as me, only I had a tent cover on top. I had the canopy thing on top. I didn't have the rain cover, whatever you call it. And I, I was sitting there terrified. I could hear the footsteps. They weren't light. They weren't those light. 'Cause I know what you're talking about. Those light creeping sounds. This was like a heavy thud, and it was unmistakable. And it was like I'm guessing like 10 feet from my campsite or the tent, and I'm just thinking, I just want to go back to sleep and not believe this is happening. I'll just put my hands over my ears, cover the sound, and I'll just go back to sleep, and everything will be okay. It's not happening. It's not real. And when I did that, I could hear the blood pumping in my head. My heart was just thumping, and I had a phone. I had a phone right there, and I was afraid of going over to grab the phone and making a rustling sound in my sleeping bag because I was thinking this thing is going to come over here and it's going to put its face in my tent. I'm going to have a heart attack,
Yeah, it
And
was
then I
crazy.
shouted to the guys, yeah, I was so terrified because I'm thinking this outside my tent is probably 8 foot tall. It's a monster and it can kill all of us. Before the guys and like Dave and his son are armed. They're right next to me. It's not going to be like Mission Impossible where they get the magazine into their gun and just start blamming away. You know, we're all going to get killed. This is 3:30 in the morning, so I'm thinking the worst because that's what happens when you wake up really early in the morning. Sometimes you're kind of freaked out, but in the middle of nowhere in Kaimichi Mountains, where you have no business being, and when we all got up and like looked around a bit, I got into his truck and I'm like, Dave, how do you lock your truck out, without sounding the alarm? I didn't want to wake well, there was no one around, but I thought maybe his son was sleeping. I locked the truck and put the sleeping bag over my head because I'm like, if this thing comes back and puts his face up to the truck window, I'm gonna just want to die of fright. It's
No,
crazy.
I'm right there with you. I've never, the guy that was in the tent with me woke up and I'm standing in the middle of the tent because now I got to use the bathroom.
Oh
10 minutes
God.
later, I got to go out and go use a tree, and I got to go outside with that thing that just huffed on the side of my face. And the guy that was with in the tent got up and shined the flashlight in my face, and he's like, dude, you're pale white. What the heck happened? So I filled him in on what happened. But yeah, I had to go outside after that, and I just put my head down, turned my lantern on, and ran outside and ran back and held onto my knife for the rest of the night.
Now, when you said huffed, what did it sound like?
Just like, just
Like
like,
a huff.
like, yeah, like deep guttural huff. And I felt its breath on the side of my cheek because my cheek was right up against the tent, and the breath came right through the tent, right on my face.
That wasn't a bear, especially if it
Oh
was walking that silently.
no, it crept up, especially with the things that happened that night. With we heard the vocals, a couple vocals. We found the trackway, and we saw the one on flare. So that all happened that first night, and there's no doubt in my mind what that was.
Well, for us, it was the second night, and we'd heard all. I didn't know until I got back home and put it through Audacity, but we got so many whoops and tree knocks and rock clicks. But that second day, we walked down to this bottom area where it was like swampy and like it was so quiet the whole day. And I'm like, oh my God, guys, this is so quiet. I felt like we were being watched the whole day. And I was anticipating something happening that night, maybe a rock or a couple of tree knocks or something. But I did not imagine in my wildest dreams that this thing would come in right into camp. And we had a grease pan out there because we cooked steak. We had like a cooler full of snacks. Nothing. This thing didn't like rummage around or anything. It just walked through camp and it just disappeared into the night when I started yelling for the guys. and I and after and since then I still to this day feel like a big coward. I'm like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Even if I had to like silently grab my phone and hit record, I could have got some audio or something. I didn't do any of those things. And that now I
You're not
sympathize with
thinking.
these people. No, you don't think like that. I
That's the
sympathize
last
with
thing
these
you're thinking
people.
about.
Yeah, and these people that run into them and people are like, why didn't you get a photograph? I know exactly why they didn't get a photograph. It's the last thing you think about.
Right. No.
So now you're in Connecticut, and how did you come to find these research areas? Are you just hiking and you notice some structures or something happened?
Uh, the first area that we went to, we started going to a state forest, and we were there one night, and it was all dusk, and we found a couple structures, and we were checking them out, and all of a sudden we hear this dog whimpering noise. It sounded like a dog was wounded, like it was whimpering. It was like, So my buddy goes, it sounds like a dog's injured, let's go check it out and see what's up. And so we get to the spot where we think the dog's whimpering from, and there's nothing there. 30 feet to our left into the woods, we hear it again. Like, oh, he must have been spooked. We'll go and check him out. So then we go 30 feet again. 30 feet. I'm just using 30 feet as a reference.
Right.
I don't know the footage exactly. And we get to that spot, and once again, nothing there. Now, 40 feet back to our right, dog whimpering noise again. We look at each other. You know what? My buddy goes, whatever this is, it is luring us into the woods. So we hightail it out of there. We decided not to follow it anymore. We get to the logging trail, and all of a sudden we hear this, whoa! And we turn around, and a rock comes flying.
Wow.
Through the foliage and lands right in back of me. We had no flashlights, no nothing. We hightailed it. But so I've been really, really lucky on the spots that I have chosen because I have had interaction at all of them. By something, I can't say if it's a Sasquatch or not, but 100% we're getting reactions. At this area, we have caught the mouth pops. Last summer, we caught them. You've ever heard those? They sound like the sonar, like a dolphin almost, a pop. We caught those at the top of the mountain. We have one mimic whistled. That was pretty cool. We caught whoops up there. I found a footprint up there. So we got real lucky. That was the first place we started going. We call that Rock Throw Alley. I name all my places just so it's easy to remember where is
Right.
what. So then I had a buddy that was working with me, and he had some property out in back of his house. He said, "Well, why don't you come out back there and check it out for a little while? See what you can find." So we started going up there, and we call that place Larry's. And we started finding tree structures, and we started finding, just little basic, little tiny things. We don't, here for some reason in Connecticut, they don't make these big, huge structures and the big teepees. I don't find that. They're tiny. Everything's tiny. And so we started watching them, and then we started noticing that the structures were in like a loop. And so we just started keep on that loop all the time, every time we would go through there. And then one day we got tree knocks for the first time, and I thought that was Christmas. We caught them. They were 100 feet off to our right, off the trail, and it was just validation for me that something was there again. But I was so excited. I took the video home and we edited it all out. I'm like, I'm getting this is going to be viral. And then you put the wood knock video on YouTube, and everybody's already heard them 100 million times. You know what I mean? So it was kind of a letdown, but it was activity again for us. So where they knocked, we set up a trading post, and we started trading with whatever was in the woods, and we've been trading with them for 5 years now. We've had rocks back and forth. They have left us rocks. They have left us feathers. They've actually been down to where Larry lives at his house and smacked the side of the house. They leave little sticks in the ground, like little tiny little sticks, and we have pictures of all that. And they follow us. They knock on the trees. So I got lucky there, and now 10 miles up the road, we got contacted by another guy last summer, and he wanted us to come up to his property, check it out, and it's the same creek that Larry's follows. So we're hoping maybe we were thinking maybe it's a travel route. So we get up there, and now we're finding the same prints 10 miles up the road that we were finding at Larry's. So same print, 10 miles apart. And so now we're getting lucky again with interaction up there. We're catching the whistles up there, and we're finding the prints. And so the first night we camped out up at that place, we call it up the road. We had rock throws from 9 o'clock at night till about 4:30 in the morning, just throwing rocks at us, throwing rocks at us. We had the flares, couldn't see them, but we thought we got one on flare, but it's just too inconclusive to say whether it's not or so. It's basically a not right now, but I got the rock throws on tape. They're actually on my channel on YouTube. I Discover Sasquatch. You can hear the rock throw coming through the trees. They whistled at us, and so I've been pretty lucky everywhere I've gone. I've had interaction with something that lives in the woods. Have I seen a Sasquatch yet? I caught one, I think, in Missouri last year, July. It was far away. He was big, sitting on the side of a power line thing. But I think that's the closest I've come to seeing one. But they have sure let me know they've been near us for um, many a times.
So you have all of these, all of this on your YouTube channel, Discover Sasquatch.
Yep.
All of these,
Yeah, you can
all
see
of this
most of them on
evidence.
there. Yep, the footprints. You can see Rock Throw Alley. Tell the story up there. Um, Mark Newbill did one of the. He did the vocals from Rock Throw Alley. That's on the channel. That's where they did the whoops and they mimicked my whistle. That was pretty cool to hear your whistle mimic back at you. That's crazy stuff. I
Oh,
always and everything I just told you about. There's always been someone with me. This is not by myself. This is experience with other people at the same time. So I have other people to back up what I'm talking about. So that's another good thing.
well, one part in when I caught vocals in the Kaimichi Mountains, I went up and like when I put my voice recorder down, I did a couple of whistles, just like wheatgrass whistles, into the night, just like you would for a dog, like if you're calling a dog. Later on that night, we heard pretty similar whistles. So what you're saying checks out. They were mimicking what
Yeah.
what I was doing with my whistles.
Yeah, I use the same whistle every time. Every area I go to. So it might be the same group at every area, but that's just what a coincidence that they're there at the same time I'm there. You know what I mean? I hop from place to place to place. So
Now, one of this is funny, but one of the actually it was yesterday, wasn't it? You found a big turd in the
yep.
middle of nowhere.
So yeah, that's the same color, the same texture as 2 years running before that. We found three piles. See, I've had a thing at Larry's that there was three Sasquatch there. We'd always find the big 15-inch print, and then we would find a 12-inch print, and then we would find a little one. And we found those prints for 3 years. We started seeing them, and there was a tree up there, and it had three leaners in it. A big leaner, like the storybook, and it had a big leaner, a medium-sized leaner, and then a little tiny leaner. Well, last year the two bigger ones got knocked down, and it was just the one little leaner left. And then we started not getting the father's print and the mother's print, which we believe is what's going on. Now we only find the one little turd. The other two piles aren't there. We found the same piles. Three bears don't defecate in the same area together. And we would
Right.
find the three piles together 2 years in a row, the same color, the same, just like you seen yesterday on the page or today on the page, same exact everything. So we think that the mother and father left the little one here to start their own family. It's waiting for its mate. So we have experiments that we're going to try this year and see if we got pheromone chips, and we made up this flag experiment, and we got some things we're going to try, but we're thinking that there's just one there now because we couldn't catch the other. We caught the father's print once last year, and that was by tricking them. But they're not. That was different last year. That wasn't the same as the years before. So I think there's only the one left. Is our
Man,
guess?
that turd, lumberjack would have been proud of that. That was an
Yeah,
unusual turd in the middle of nowhere. It
right. Yeah, that's
wasn't.
not a
That
bear.
wasn't. Yeah, right. It was like a human turd.
Yep. And we got, if you go back, I think they're in the videos. You wait till you see the three piles of them. It's just ridiculous.
Hmm.
So I sent it to my biologist buddy, and he sent it back, and he said target species. It's larger than the diameter. Oh, excuse me, sorry. He said target species. He thinks. So that's what we call the Sasquatch, target species. Code name.
Like, can you not send that off to some DNA specialist?
I,
Can I not get DNA from that?
yeah, I have a geneticist that we're going to send the sample to. She's out in Arizona. Um, Very blessed to have her. She's got to stay unknown. She's a professor, and she has her grad students working on this for me.
Right.
So, yeah, and I mean, the price is ridiculous, but um, she doesn't charge me that much. They're interested in it. She's tested actually for a king over for Yowie, not the Yowie, the
Urine.
no, the Yeti,
Yeti.
yeah, the Yeti, and it turned out to be, she said, ox hair or oxen hair, but she tested it for a king from over there somewhere. So
No,
she's
no.
interested in it. So she's on our side. So we're gonna send a little piece away, and it's in the refrigerator right now.
No, she's obviously doing this like undercover. She can't tell the
Exactly.
university she's doing this. And if she gets caught, she'll probably have some ramifications, that kind of thing.
All right. I think that's why she's having her students do it.
Right.
So it's just a project for them, a side project to get their master's degree. They're taking on site. They do side projects like that. So I think that's how it's
Uh,
being.
so, so like this hunter sent us this sample in, and could you guys just check this out and find out what it is and get back to
Exactly.
me?
Exactly.
That's a good idea.
So
Wow.
now, if we didn't touch that thing. We cleaned all the utensils. We wore rubber gloves. We used everything that we had. If that thing comes back with any human DNA on it, it's got to be Sasquatch. There's got to be human DNA in Sasquatch. There's just too too many cases of it popping up. But again, this is only in my opinion. I don't know for fact. So, I mean, we didn't taint that. There's no way that touched anything or we breathed on it. We did nothing. Masks, we had everything. Everything was covered before we even got close to that thing.
Wow, you're hardcore. I mean, my research method is just to walk into the woods and look for a couple of structures and get scared and like get back out of there again.
Well, that's
I
what I
get
used
kind
to.
of
That's what I did at the beginning too.
I'm kind of high strung, so the thoughts of these things kind of like freak me out a little bit unless I'm with somebody else. But by myself, I mean I have like a weapon that I go in there with just in case like I find like a you know a mountain lion or something. But um, yeah, I get pretty freaked out with this subject, and I guess that's what keeps me coming back. But you're definitely further along the trail than I am. It sounds like you're pretty serious about this. Now, what do you think about the what's her name that did the whole DNA thing?
Melba,
Mel.
Ketchum. Yeah,
What do you think about her research?
I don't. I think she's. I don't know. I think she's legit. If you ever read her reports, she's very professional. I mean, she put her whole career on the line for that stuff. I mean, you're not going to make $1 million off of this subject. She put everything on the line, and um, I just don't think you would do it if you didn't believe that that's what it was. You know what I mean? You wouldn't put yourself out there. So I think I don't know. I think she did what she did, and her results are are her results. They're real.
And all of the slander and stuff could come from the powers that be, like that they do with everything else when they want to discredit somebody. I think like Scientology, pedophile rings and stuff. I think that the powers that be, spread misinformation, and there's been a lot
Mhm.
of slander where she's concerned. So I don't know what to think about it. I'm just asking your opinion, but I've heard a lot of both sides of the story. I don't know what to believe, and it could be a case of her just being slandered because she's too close to the too close for comfort.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. Um, I mean, there's people that have been out doing this for 20, 25 years that know a ton of stuff, but again, they'll tell you that they don't really know either. Because everything's IMO with Sasquatch. I think everybody has their own opinion. Everybody experiences their own things. But like I said, footprints and rock throws, that's common. Structures are common now. There's people that are starting to figure out the structures and measure them, and they're pointing to stars and they're pointing directionals. I found one of them myself this year. We went early spring, and there was an X. We, like I said, we go pattern hikes. So if you go pattern hikes and something's out of place, you notice it. You know that that's never been there before. And I film every time we're out. I got terabytes and terabytes of footage. So we noticed this structure. It was a big X, and it was all entangled in the vine, and it was just laying there, and it was like just like that angle. And one morning we're there at 5:30 in the morning, and the sun's coming up through it, and I mean it's coming dead center. And I'm like, I tell Larry, I said, Larry, that thing's dead east, right in the middle of that X is dead east. I said, next time we come up, let's bring a compass and we'll put it on that X and where it crosses, and I bet you any amount of money is going to be magnetic north. So next time we come up, we do that. We put it right on there, and guess what? Magnetic north. And back of us, tree knocks. 50 yards from us, tree knocks. Larry goes, oh, I heard that. I said, yep, they're right there. They're watching us what we're doing. The following weekend we come up, guess what? Dismantled on the ground. No more laying in the vines.
Wow. So
So
what does magnetic north mean, though? Does that mean that they're telling their kind to go north, or?
yeah, well, no, it's a compass in the middle of the forest. So when they come across that structure, they know where north, south, east, and west is. So they just have to travel the route, I think.
How? Have you ever heard of Hiker Dave New England?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, he's out in New Hampshire. He does a lot of well, I don't know if he does a lot of, but he has mentioned the directional stuff. All of the stuff that he's found up north is pointing south. I'm just paraphrasing, and
Yeah.
vice versa. I don't. I might be wrong, but he noticed because he does a lot of research on that, and he said that a lot of the tree breaks and stuff were facing a certain direction, and
Yep.
then in another area they'd be facing the opposite direction. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, there's another person down in Florida who's doing it right now, and he's on to something. I'm actually going there in July to learn how to do this, so I can bring that technique up here too, and try and put some more pieces together. Because if you can track these guys, it's gonna lead to a lot of answers. You're gonna be able to know if they go, you know, if they travel in the winter or they go to head to caves or all that stuff. Migration. I don't think they migrate personally, but if we can figure out how they travel, that's huge.
Right.
So
So
that
it's my opinion that they live in caves up here. They've got to because it's like I actually reference Hiker Dave again. He was like, they don't just stand under a tree
right.
to get away from the elements. They've got to go somewhere. I'm thinking caves. That's my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
I think they're gatherers. That's one good thing you can get out of a trading post area, and I've been fortunate to have the one for 5 years. Is they gather. They don't leave anything behind. There's some I leave all I do, and I never. I just want to stress this. I never leave them enough to depend on me for food. I leave them
Good idea.
one bag of apples, and a jar of peanut butter. Maybe 2 jars of peanut butter because I know they love the peanut butter. But there's somewhere in the woods out there that has probably about 500 jars of peanut butter because they take it with them every single time. There's now we found 2 jars in 5 years of peanut butter, and that was right at the beginning when they didn't know how to open the lid. So we know they can open lids now because I actually accidentally left a bottle of olives I was supposed to bring home in my bag, and we went up there the next time, and the lid was screwed off. It was vacuum sealed, so they screwed the lid off and had the olives without breaking the bottle, which was pretty amazing. I
Really?
have that on video too.
Yeah, I
But
saw I saw your thing about the peanut butter
yep. Did you see the
today,
rock?
actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, we put the
Yeah,
rock
the
on
rock.
top of it. Yep. And then they just take that rock right out the top lid and they put it on the log and take the peanut butter with them. No bear does that. That's why we do it. We do it to prove that they're there. That's why we bury the gifts under the ground in Tupperware containers that snap. And then we pile rocks on top of them and we use a marker stone that's been there since we've been there for 5 years on top so they know where it is. We come up there, the rocks are lifted up off, the Tupperware bowl's out, the lid is popped, peanut butter's gone. Every time.
Well, even a human's not going to do that, you
No,
know.
no, no. I mean, a bear can't do it because they can't smell the peanut butter. It's not cracked. Nothing. It's all sealed. They know it because we mark it, and we played that game with them for 5 years. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm addicted so bad that if you go up there and they don't come, then you kind of get a little disappointed. But been very fortunate because we learned a lot from that trading post. We know when they're around. They are there at that trading post daily from the end of August to Thanksgiving. Who they're gathering. The nut trees are dropping. The mushrooms are out. They gather. One time there was mushrooms everywhere, everywhere one day, and then 2 days later we came back in and they were all gone. They gather. They take them and they bring them to their caves for the winter. And they have enough food source in that cave so they can make it through the winter, in my opinion. So they're gathering. That's what they're doing all year long, just like a squirrel or a chipmunk or something. They're going around eating as they're gathering and storing for the winters
Hmm.
because they're not
Is
around
there
in the winter.
right? So, is there any way? that, in your opinion, that you can get video evidence? Or will they just, are they too smart and they will evade it? Is there any chance of doing that?
Well, we're hoping that we can. They followed us last year for the first time. That's never happened. We would
Watching
walk
the
down
whole
a
time.
trail and we would stop and then they would knock on the tree. And then we would go some more and then we would stop and then they would knock on the tree just to let us know they were on us. You know, they were following us the whole time. Last year for the first time they started throwing stones right at the gifting area, throwing stones and I don't we don't pay attention to them because I think you get more reaction from them if you don't pay attention. Um, so we think that whatever's there is comfortable with us now, following us, letting us know that they're following us because, if they could follow anybody else knocking on trees in the woods and nobody would even think twice about it, they wouldn't know what that was. We know we've been trading with them for 5 years, and we think that if we continue and we can go up the road and camp out at night, they're going to come down to us and hopefully come in within 30, 40 feet and, say hi. That's what we're hoping for.
Have you been camping there?
One time last year was the first time we camped there, and they threw stones at us from 9 o'clock to 4:30 in the morning. Stone after stone. We just sat there and listened to them, just coming through the foliage.
Like Chris Noel when he was getting the pine cones thrown at him. Did you ever see that video?
Yep. I
And
used to watch Chris Noel's all his videos.
he does some great research, and these pine cones are coming up, and he did like a graphic where he measured the arc and stuff, and by that he could tell the distance. And
Right.
he actually showed it on video. These pine cones were coming, like I don't know what the grade was, but it was obvious that they were pretty close, and these pine cones were just coming up and landing at his feet. Now, do you see that as a sign of aggression, or
I know because they never hit you. Well, they never hit us. So, and with us, we think it's just a game they play. Um, they've never really
indirect
come.
indirect communication?
Right. Larry got hit in the back of the neck with an acorn one time. They got him one time. Um, but never a rock. They usually leave rocks for us. They play a game. There's a crystal rock, or not a crystal, but a quartz rock at the gifting area where they take and they bring back, and then they'll take it and they'll bring it back. And then they left me a rock. It's over there. Hold on one second.
Yeah, I'm going to get my rock and show you too. Hold on.
Oh.
This is my rock. And show me yours first. Show me yours, and I'll show you mine.
So this is the rock they left for us at the tree that we're now trading with them at. That's a big stone.
Wow.
It's in a video. I show it where it's never there, and then I show it boom when it's there.
Now this is the one I left in the Kamichi Mountains. Is it quartz?
I forgot the name of it. It's
Amethyst.
Yeah,
I think it's amethyst.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it.
They didn't take it. It just sat there. So I don't know. Maybe because they don't know us or whatever. But I thought I would bring it down to the Kamichi Mountains with me, and I left it out for them 2 nights, and nothing happened. But obviously, I was only a visitor. But you're saying that these things were taking it and bringing it back again?
Oh yeah, they played that game. So I broke off a piece of this, and I gave it to 2 people. I gave one piece to my friend Dan, who you should probably get on the show, Nedrello. He's a biologist. He's a really nice guy, and he's out in Wisconsin. And my other friend, Snow White Bigfoot.
Oh,
So I gave her a piece. So Dan brought his to an area that he went to. Second night he put it down and was gone and replaced with 2 stones. I gave another piece of Snow White. She put it on her front porch, and for the last few weeks they've been playing with it. They took it one night and then brought it back 2 days later, and now they're taking it off her porch and putting it down on. They play games at her house. She's If nobody's ever watched her channel, you
Yeah.
should, because it's amazing stuff that goes on there.
She's out of Ohio, right?
I believe so. I think so. I don't even
Yeah,
know where I think she's from Ohio.
she's got some good stuff.
Yeah, she's got amazing stuff, and she documents everything. She's got handprints, and it's just amazing, amazing stuff they've left for her.
She puts a piece of wire out and like makes a certain bend, and in the morning it'll be bent differently. There's just nothing else that could do that
This
without
one,
a post. No, it's a green piece of wire she had.
yeah, this is one of her ties that she left out that they played with. She sent to me.
Really?
Yeah, and I got that on my microphone stand, and she sent me these, the peg game that they played with. That was on her back porch. I'm gonna bring these to
Wow.
my. Once I had to switch my trading post off this year because where we were at got sold, so I have to start all over again. So once they start finding out where we are, I'm gonna bring up those and bring up a piece and see what happens. So yeah, well, we were talking about the stones.
Yeah, the gifting stones.
Yeah,
Have you
so
ever
yeah,
heard of October Mountain? It's out in Western Mass.
yes, I would really like to go there. Really, really
Apparently,
like.
it's a hot spot. Well, like the BFRO have a couple of encounters there, and I don't know. The BFRO have like about 1% of all encounters on their website. I've heard so many encounters in Central Mass where I'm at right now, um, and they're not on the BFRO website. You
Oh,
know, people don't.
I've had about 20 of them, and none of them are on the BFRO website.
Right. It's just kind of a guide to kind of make you understand that there's some kind of activity. But I mean, the people that I've actually spoken to, and then the people that never report it, can you imagine how many people that is?
Oh,
It's
yeah,
hot.
a
It's
lot of
gonna be
people.
humongous.
It freaks people out. There's a lot of people out there that suffer from the PTSD from it. A lot of them, and I've been listening to
Or
Carrie.
they,
I've been listening to Carrie Arnold a lot lately, and you know what? Before I used to do this so to prove that they're around, but we need what we really do, like he says, we need to prove to the people that they are there. And I went by the spot where I had those dog whimpering noises and were lured into the woods. I seen a family of four heading up that trail, and I'm like, man, they don't know what's there, and I do. And I can't stop and tell them because they'll think I'm crazy. But that's the reason why we have to do this, because people need to be known that they're out there.
well,
You know,
Chris, what you could do in that situation is say, you saw a bear or a mountain lion or something. That's
right,
what I would do in that situation.
right.
You
Yeah, I
know,
never thought of it that
that's your
way
get a
until
jail free card.
like I said, I started listening to Carrie and Daniela, and I never thought of it that way. I was just out to prove to the world that they exist. But Carrie's right. You got to prove it to the people so that so they're safe. So nothing happens, because I'm sure there's bad ones out there. I haven't encountered a bad one yet. But if you're walking a trail, say when I was in Missouri, we did night ops, and we're walking trails at 2 o'clock in the morning in the pitch dark with no headlamps. One of them can just reach its arm out and grab you and take you, and you would never be seen again. You'd be
Of
gone.
course,
Nobody could get you.
especially
Nobody could save you.
especially if they're hungry. I mean,
Yeah.
we got to be honest. I mean, if these things haven't had a good year where they get deer and mushrooms and whatever else they eat, I mean, and they're starving and their family's starving,
Right. Neanderthals are proven to be cannibals now, so who knows?
Yeah. We got to collaborate. I got to get down there to where you're talking about.
Oh
Man,
yeah,
I really do.
well, I'm gonna bring you to the campsite, and we're gonna be able to go live from there. And yeah, I'll take you around here. Yeah, come down for a weekend. We can hit all the spots.
That'd be awesome because I'm going to go down to Oklahoma probably this summer, but I want something in between. I've been actually someone emailed me from my channel and asked me to go out to the Sierras out in California. I'm like, wow, yeah, I'd love to, but
Oh, I
I've
would
already
love to
planned a
do
trip to
that.
Oklahoma. Right, and this is like I think they're talking about the same area that Samurai Chatter was from. I'm
Yeah,
like, you got to be kidding me! Of course, but I mean that's a big ask with the kids and all the rest of it. I
right.
mean, I'm not a single man that can just spend $500 and just head off the weekend.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Um, well, actually, at the minute, it's really like Oklahoma is like $250, and that's like 2,500 miles or something. So that's quite cheap at the minute. And then a rental car is really cheap. I did my last trip to Oklahoma for like $500 for everything because you're going into the woods, you're not spending money. And that's when I get all of the audio and the thing coming around my tent. And but I'm still only 95% sure that these things exist. There's still a 5% of me because I haven't seen it. So I'm just I know, you know, I'm basically 100% sure in my mind, but I've got to reserve that 5% because I haven't seen one, and I can't say for 100% certainty that I know because I don't know. You know,
Right. I'm hoping to
so
see one up closer than I did this year.
not too close. So
No, I'd like to see one up close. I would like to see one just so we could see the features, But the
I know you
daytime
get.
is the nighttime is way different. People got to understand that the nighttime is way different than daytime hiking. If you're
Oh yeah,
going off trail in the middle of the night, and make sure the person knows where they're going, and because if they're there, they're going to let you know they're there, and if you got a thermal cameras, you're going to see them there, and then you're going to it's just freaky. It's freaky. That still gets
yeah,
me after 5 years.
yeah. Well, I was down in Oklahoma with Dave, and like he goes down there, and Dave Wallbanks from the No Such Thing Bigfoot and More channel. I don't know if you're familiar with his channel, but he um he goes down there by himself and camps out, just sleeps outside. And this is the area where I had an encounter. And I'm like, I don't know how you do this, you know. But he is of the opinion that if they wanted to harm him, they would have already. He's been going there for 20 years, so I get his point. But I'm just too high strung. I don't know if I could do it by myself. I need buddies, you know.
Yeah, I don't do it by myself at all. I haven't, and I probably never will. I just like to have people around so they can back my stories up, So what happens is just not me saying that it happened. I got people there every time.
That's true too. When I had the encounter in Oklahoma, I don't know if I ever would have spoke about it unless like Dave was right there, and I woke him up and he saw my reaction, and you know he knew that something had happened. I wasn't just making shit up at 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
Something had happened, and he gauged my reaction, and he realized how shook up I was. I was like totally like rattled. I was rattled. I mean, and then he took a video the next morning of my encounter, and I was like, I was packing up and I was like dropping my sleeping bag and stuff. I was a nervous wreck. So
Yeah.
then I decided to do one on my own channel, like explaining everything because I didn't really explain it right because it was so fresh in my memory. And then when you go back and think about it, it plays in your head, and then you fill in all the details. It's like, oh yeah, it was 3:29 when I looked at my phone when I was getting into Dave's truck. 3:20. I can remember it as clear as day. I can remember the footsteps. I can remember my heart beating. I remember everything. But the next morning, I was just too rattled to be eloquent about it. But it was freaky. But I hope to get down there and hang out with you and, get out to Larry's. Can you stealth camp in Larry's?
We can't go camp in Larry's, but we can go up the road, and it's the same prince. So it's the same. That's why we believe it's the young one's looking for a mate. He's traveling that creek because we found the same prints at both spots. The same exact prints. Same exact prints. So cool. So cool.
That'd be
Hopefully we can
great.
cast them. We can find them this year and cast them. We had one last year. You get so excited and you don't think. And we found this one, and we didn't have the right backpack because I now all my backpacks have casting material in them, and last year we found this beautiful print and didn't have the casting. We'll
Oh,
come back tomorrow and we'll cast it. Okay, okay, okay. You know, whoa, we're looking at the print. I got picture after picture of it. Did we mark it? Did we put a stick up so we could find it the next day? Did we do anything? No. We go back there the next day, we can't find it. We looked
oh
for
boy.
2 hours. That happened twice to me. It'll never happen again. I had a handprint. A handprint. It was unbelievable handprint. I got a picture. It's on the videos. If anybody wants to check out the old videos, just you can see all this stuff. But beautiful handprint, and didn't have the casting material, and this was when I first started, and didn't mark it or nothing. I couldn't find it the next day again. So not this year. I got casting material in every bag. I got casting material at Larry's garage. I got it everywhere. So not this year because I
Well,
got to compare those prints.
my truck's full of it. I plaster for a living, so I have plaster in my truck at all times.
There you go.
Yeah, with accelerant, not an accelerant. Yeah, accelerator, so I can actually mix it in with accelerator and put like um skim coat plaster and mix it up and put it into the print. I don't have plaster of Paris, but I have the alternative, which is pretty. It sets in 10 minutes, and I have that in my truck at all times.
Nice. We got the
So
Durabond.
yeah, it'll be great to get down there and see you. That'll be fantastic. We should definitely get a. You're probably like 2 hours away from me.
Well, what part? Where are you?
I'm right by Worcester, Mass.
Yeah, about 2 hours. Yeah, right around there. It's not a bad ride though.
Yeah,
Like you
well,
said, you cut over west and then you get onto the turnpike and then you just come down the turnpike right to my town. Well, not
yeah,
right
it's
to
an
my
easy
town, but
ride.
right to the border. So yeah, it's pretty simple.
That'd be awesome. Well, thank you very much, Chris, for coming on the show. It was awesome. I'm glad you came on here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I hope I didn't jump all over the place because I'm not a good interviewer. I jump all over the or interviewee. I jump all over the place. I get so this subject just I just get so pumped when I
Excite
start
you.
talking about it, and
I know, me too.
I like to hop all over the place, and then I don't know where I am. And if I could
I know
have an
you're
interview like
fine.
Spencer did last night on Bigfoot Odyssey, that would be great. That guy was like ice water up there last night on the interview. He was good. That was a great interview.
Oh yeah, I saw you post that. I haven't watched it yet, but the
Yeah,
Bigfoot Odyssey is the place to go for interviews. That's probably the top channel for credible Bigfoot interviews.
yeah,
I really hold Kerry and Danielle in high regard. They're awesome.
yeah, for sure. And you did a pretty good job yourself. So keep up the good
It was
work.
so much. It was so much fun. I loved it. It was just fun. At the end of the day, I had a
Right.
blast. Meeting all these people that are into the same thing as you, and talking about it, and it's exciting.
Right.
It's an adventure.
Wait till you get into that groove where you get into that right nook of people and you settle in, and then the text messages start coming, and then you start talking on the phone, and then this and that, and then it just gets even better and better and better and better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to Florida this year. I'm looking forward to going in July, check it out, and hopefully get some skunk ape footage.
Are you going to go down with on the next expedition with Kerry and stuff?
I haven't heard yet. I'm hoping to. I'm waiting for the final tally. I put my
October,
application in.
October, right?
I think it's November, but I'm going down in
I,
July to hang out with my buddy Chris Connor from the
oh,
Trail to Bigfoot.
I'm not familiar now.
Yeah, watch their channel. He's got a lot of good stuff down there too. But yeah, I'm going down in July to spend a week in the green swamp,
Oh, awesome.
and then hopefully back in November to help out with that 160. I'd love to be part of that in November. So we'll see.
That'd be fun as hell. All right,
Yeah.
Chris. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right,
We'll
man.
talk.
Good night.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah, let's stay in touch.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.